All right, so looking at our study guide for today, number 1 says we want to convert these to a fraction or a mixed number. Can someone remind me, how am I going to do that for the number 0.375? How am I going to change that to a fraction? Brianna? Not quite. Kayla?
The place value that it's in, put that on the bottom.
Very good. Okay, so what's going to go on the top on this problem?
The number.
All right, what's that going to be?
375.
Okay, very good. So we put 375 on the top because that's what's behind it. All right, and what's going to go on the bottom for this problem, Kayla? 1,000, because 5 is in the thousandths. All right, remember we also talked about another way to remember that is there are 3 numbers after the decimal, so I should have 3 zeros. Okay? Is that a good way to leave my fraction here? No. All right, what can I do to simplify this fraction, to make it smaller, to make it better? Danny? We can divide them by 5. All right, so 375 divided by 5. We might need to go over to the side to do that. So 5 into 375. 5 goes into 37. 7 times 5 is 35. When I subtract, I get 2. 5 will go into 25. 5 times, which leaves me with. All right, so my answer on top is 75. All right, the way I like to do the bottom is I know 5 can go into 10. Do y'all see that 10 that I'm putting a box around? 5 will go into 10 how many times? 2 times, and then I'm going to leave the 2 zeros next to it. So 200. All right, is that a good answer for this problem? No? What do I need to do now? Raise your hand, please. What do I need to do? Macy. We can simplify by 5 again. And in fact, on this problem, 75 and 200, when I look at that, I think about the number 25. If you wanted to use 25, you can. I'm going to use 5. So 5 will go into 75. Again, I might want to go over here to the side. 5 into 75. 5 goes into 7 once. When I subtract, I get 2. Bring down the 5. 5 goes into 25. 5 times. I would rather you take a little bit extra time and divide that correctly than try to do it in your head and get the wrong answer, okay? So when I divide 75 by 5, I get 15 over, putting my box around that first part. 5 will go into 20 4 times, and then there's 1 0, so 15 over 40. All right? Is this a good fraction? No. What should I do, Emma? Divide by 5 again, all right? Okay, 15 divided by 5 is 3. 40 divided by 5 is 8. 3/8. And just to make sure I can tell where my answer is, I'm going to put 3/8 next to that decimal. Okay. So my answer here is 3/8. All right, number 2. How am I going to write number 2 as a fraction? Looking for a new hand again. New hand. Aubrey? 8 is in front of the decimal, so she put 8 in front of the fraction, and she said 8 and 7/10. 7 was behind it, it goes on top. 7 is in the 10th place, so we put 10 on the bottom. Also remember, one number after the decimal means 1 0. Is this a good way to leave this answer? Can I simplify it any? No, that's it. That's it. 8 and 7/10. All right? Even though my 8 looks a little funky. Kind of got disconnected there. There you go. 8 and 7/10. All right? Number 3. Number 3. How would I write that fraction out? Review. 36 in front. What's my fraction going to be? All right, 36 is my whole number, so that's going to be in front. So you have 36 is in front of the decimal. 36 goes in front of my fraction. So I actually would have the fraction next to it. It's not in the fraction. Does that make sense? Okay. What's going to go in the fraction, Kayla? 52. And what's going to go on the bottom? 100, because 2 is in the hundredths location. All right, are there any questions about that? Can I leave that as an answer? No. What could I do to it to fix it? Chandler? Divide by 2. 2 will go into both of those, so I'm going to divide them by 2. All right, don't forget our 36 is still there. 52 divided by 2 gives me, what do I get? 26. 26 over 50. Okay, so I got 36 and then 26 over 50. I don't know why I put an equal sign there. All right, is that a good way to leave my answer? No. What do I need to do now, Christy? Divide by 2 again. All right, so I get 36. 26 divided by 2 is 13. 50 divided by 2 is 25. So that's the answer that I'm looking for. Okay, questions about 1, 2, or 3? All right. Number 4, we're wanting to change it to a decimal. Okay, so now it's the opposite of what we were doing earlier, so we want to make it a decimal. How am I going to go about making number 4 a decimal? Remember, I really only care about the fraction. I know if the whole number is in front of the fraction, I'm just going to put that whole number in front of the decimal. So I don't have to do anything with the 8 right now. What do I need to do to make 1/3 a decimal? Any ideas? I like it how some of us are looking back in our notes. Danny? Okay, 8 is going to go in front of the decimal, so if we want to go ahead and write 8 and a dot. All right, but I need to figure out what to do with that 1/3. How am I going to change that 1/3 into a decimal? Chandler? Maybe? Everyone? Emma? We have to divide. All right, remember we talked about how that fraction bar is the same as a division symbol, and we will ultimately, by the end of the year, be using it as that. All right, the fraction bar and division symbol are the same stuff. We're going to divide when I do my division. So let's draw a little division symbol here. There we go. What numbers need to go where? Chris? What numbers are going to go where? Okay, help me out, Kyrie. 3 is at the door, 1 is in the house. All right, remember, whatever is in the denominator goes at the door. Whatever is down on the bottom goes at the door. Can 3 go into 1? No, which is fine because we're making it a decimal, so we got to add that decimal and a 0. Before I start dividing, what do I have to do? Move it up to that roof, okay? So there's my dot. How many times will 3 go into 10? 3 times. 3 times 3 is 9. When I subtract, I get 1. Add a 0 to bring it down. 3 will go into 10. 3 times. 3 times 3 is 9. When I subtract, I get 1. Add a 0, bring it down. 3 will go into 10. 3 times. What's happening here, guys? It's repeating. I'm going to get a 3 that happens on and on and on until I run out of space. All right, so how would I write that in my answer? How would I write down my answer here? Connor? Just 1 3 with a dash. Remember, it's the first 3 that repeats. So if you put extra 3s, I want you to mark those out. We should have 8.3 with a bar. Remember, it's the first 3 that's repeating. So that's the one we want the bar to be on. Okay. Number 5. Who can set that one up for me? Hands went up and then went back down. Macy? Perfect. 30 at the door, 26 in the house. All right, we know 30 can't go into 26, so let's go ahead and add our decimal and a 0, and I went ahead and raised it to the roof. Okay. How many times will 30 go into 260? How many times will 30 go into 260? Chris? 8 times. I know 3 will go into 26 8 times, so 30 will go into 260 8 times. So I'm going to put 8. 8 times 30 is 240. When I subtract, I get 20. Let's add a 0 and bring it down. 30 will go into 200. How many times? 6. 6 times 30 is 180. When I subtract, I get 20. Add a 0, bring it down. 30 will go into 200. 6 times. So this is where we're going to see that keep happening over and over and over. How am I going to write my answer for number 5? How would I write that answer? Danny. 0.86, and just the 6 has a repeating line. Perfect. Alright, so this is a great answer. There's one other thing I could add to this if I wanted to. What's the other thing that you could have written in? A 0 in front. Excellent. So if you put a 0 here and you did 0.86 with a bar, that would be fine. Okay? Alright. Simplifying. Now if you'll think back to last Monday, we did a simplifying worksheet that was kind of crazy. The numbers were really big. These are the type of numbers that will be on the test to simplify, so it should be a little bit better. All right, Connor, what can I use to simplify number 6? 3. So I'm going to divide both of them by 3. 12 divided by 3 is 4. 15 divided by 3 is 5. Can I simplify that anymore? No, that's my answer. All right, number 7. Can I simplify number 7? Alright, so it has the number 11 in it, so I'm getting a lot of head shakes because can 11 be smaller? No, the only thing that 11 can divide by is 11. So I'm going to check the bottom number. Can 11 go into 132? Yes, it can. And if we're not sure, guys, 11's the only number I can use, so I'm going to go to the side, 11, 132. 11 will go into 13 once. 13 minus 11 is 2, bring down the 2, 11 will go into 22 twice. So did 11 work? Yes. So you can divide them by 11. If it's a number like that, guys, you have to try it. Okay? Some of y'all are going to get your checkpoints back from Friday that we're still trying to fix. There was a fraction on there that a lot of us did not simplify because we didn't try dividing by 3. Okay? Please remember, if 2 doesn't work, always try 3. Always, always. And then if you have a prime number, that's what we want to try out. Okay? So we're going to divide these by 11. So my answer ends up being 1 over 12. All right, number 8, 57 and 58. Can I simplify 57 over 58? No, guys, when I count, they're only one space apart. The only thing that can go into both of them is 1 because they're only one space apart. So my answer here is just going to be 57 over 58. I had some people ask me today, can I just circle the problem? No, circle your answer, which means write your answer. Okay, and if my answer is 57 over 58, I'm going to write down 57 over 58, just to be clear. Okay? All right, numbers 9 and 10. Okay, I think we talked about this on Friday. If not, I'm going to go ahead and talk about it now because, again, our test is on Wednesday. On Wednesday, because it's a test, it's 100 points, so your problems are usually worth more than just a point apiece, all right, or else I'd have 100 problems on there. That would take you too long, all right? So on the test, your problems are going to be about 6 or 7 points apiece, okay? So just for the sake of this discussion, we'll say that the adding and subtracting are probably going to be 7 points apiece, okay? That could be slightly different, but the way I would separate that, if the problems were 7 points apiece, your answer would be 3 points. And your work would be 4 points. So guys, what that means is if I get every single answer on my page correct, and I don't show the work, I don't show how I got it. Okay, good. You got 3 problems on every part. Did I get those 4 points, though? No, you've got to show that work. That's where they're coming from, okay? The good news is, guys, if I get the answer wrong, okay, that's -3, and then I go back and I look at your work, if you did all the steps correct, but let's say you subtracted wrong, you said 8 minus 2 was 5. Okay? You did the steps right, you just didn't get the right answer. So you would get points for doing the steps. Does that make sense? You found the right denominator, you subtracted wrong. Alright? Okay. So let's look at number 9. What would be a good denominator here? When I subtract, they have to have the same bottom number. What would be a good bottom number? Brianna? 21. if you can multiply the small number to get the big number, that's what we want to use. So we're doing 7 times 3 is 21. That's why we're using it. And 2 times 3, make sure if I do it to the bottom, I do it to the top. All right, so 8 over 21 is not changing. You have to write this step down. Here's those 4 points. This is where you get them. All right, so 8 over 21 minus 6 over 21. All right, if I was grading this right here, this is where you would get your 4 points. And then my answer would be 2 over 21. Let's say I subtracted that and I put 5. If I put 5 over 21, I would say, okay, minus 3, your answer's wrong. Oh, but their work is good. They would still get those 4 points, okay? So that's why you want to show that work. All right, let's say I just put 2 over 21. Okay, good job. You get the 3 points. Would I get the 4 points for showing that step? No, okay? So show me each step. That's how I add up your points on your test. Again, if I was doing every question as just a point for the answer, I'd have to give you 100 of them. That's a lot, okay? So that's why we want to put our work in there because that's how I'm able to get more points for each problem. All right. 5 and 1/6 plus 8 and 7/9. Right now I can't add them. What is a good denominator for these? Christy. 18. 6 times 3 is? 18. 9 times 2 is? 18. Whatever number I used on the bottom is the number I'm going to use on the top. All right. You could have, technically, used 36, because 6 times 6 is 36, and 9 times 4 is 36. Alright? Technically, we could have done 6 times 9 and gotten 54. Guys, the bigger the number you use, the easier it is to make a mistake. So if you can come up with a small number like 6 and 9, that was pretty easy to think about 18. Alright? If you want to make sure you're getting the small number, make a list. Oopsie. So here's 6. After 6, it's 6, 12, 18. Oh, that's the one that would work because 9 times 2 is 18. If I make a list for them, that would make sure that I'm getting the smallest one. Are y'all okay with that? All right. So my new problem, keep my 5. Keep your 5. A lot of us are getting lazy. We're not wanting to write the whole number. This isn't English, guys. I'm not asking you to write a paper. I'm not even asking you to write a whole sentence on these. Show me that the whole number. 3 times 1 is 3. 6 times 3 is 18 plus 8. Make sure we have the whole number. 7 times 2 is 14. 9 times 2 is 18. All right, when I add them, 3 plus 4. 17 over 18. And then 5 plus 8 is 13. Can that simplify? No. If it would simplify, we would need to, but it will not. Okay? All right, if you flip that over. All right, on the test, this is how it's laid out. It's very, very similar to this. Tomorrow's study guide is laid out exactly like the test, down to how many problems are on it. Today is just like a little snapshot of what the test is going to be like. So you're going to have to change them from decimals to fractions. You're going to have to change them from fractions to decimals. You are going to have to simplify. You are going to have to add and subtract. There is vocabulary on the test. These are the words. I want you to make sure you know the definition. I will send out a Quizlet tonight. I'm going to say and make sure I get that done. I meant to last week. I do apologize about that. All right, but I will get a Quizlet made tonight to go out for these. On the test, you will have to write the word in. You do not have to write the definition. You will have to write the word. You will not have a word bank for my advanced classes. I do expect you to be able to spell correctly, okay? That's part of, again, we said that at the beginning, part of education and learning new things is learning how to spell them correctly, okay? Chris? We will use calculators after Christmas, okay? Those calculators that were on your supply list, we will use them after Christmas. If you do not have one yet, again, it's not a big deal. You have plenty of time to get one. If you don't have one for in-class, I will have a class set that will have a process for signing them out, okay? Are there any questions about the test? Okay, your test is on Wednesday. We've got some people that still need to do some corrections from the checkpoint from Friday. My little reminder, on Friday, that was a quiz grade for you to be able to keep getting these checkpoints.